Welcome to Cinemagope, everybody. I'm Ben.
I'm Scotty R37.
I'm Karate Action Ben.
And I'm John. And this is our favorite R-rated action film.
This is my second visitation of Herr Schwarzenegger. I'm going with Total Recall.
Oh, so good. So good.
I absolutely adore it. I love the ambiguity of the ending. I enjoy the science fiction elements of it. A lot of my influences just in my youth were science fiction, and when I could get science fiction and guns, that was great, because most of the time I was dealing with phasers or lasers. So when I get machine pistols blowing up people in X-ray machines and like ripping off arms, and like it is Paul Verhoeven at one of his most Paul Verhoevenist. It is a great action movie. The supporting cast, you got Ronnie Cox, you got Michael Ironside. Actually, there's a shared actor in Die Hard 2 as well, because his buddy at the construction site is also Carmine's brother at the airport in Die Hard 2.
Harry.
Harry, I forget the actor's name.
Harry is Vito. Yeah.
Yeah. Sharon Stone, obviously, Rachel Ticotin, and so many Star Trek actors. You get Mark Alimo. And also like Ronnie Cox again. Like you get Quato. Like that puppet with a mutant, the practical effect. And again, going back to like no CGI. This is a practical science fiction movie from 1990. So you're not relying on, aside from like computer graphics on a monitor, some of the best makeup effects. It never slows down. It always gets you from location to location to location. And just when you think it cannot get worse, it does. A question at the end of the movie as to whether or not Quaid, having gone to recall to have these memories implanted, despite the threat of lobotomy, there is a question at the end, as opposed to the fading to black, the fading to white. Did he get a lobotomy? It's a thought-provoking gore-fest action sci-fi romp. And there's a lady with 3 boobs.
A lot of people kind of thought of this as like a sci-fi predecessor to like the Bourne Identity, because it has that kind of globe-trotting, I don't know who I am, I'm a super spy type of thing to it. I love Total Recall. Well, I think that like it should have won Oscars for makeup design and those visual effects, the miniatures, the way Mars looked. Yeah, I don't even think it was in contention.
So my number 3 is 1991's Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Amazing film. Yeah, a genre game changer for sure, that film. In one of the best examples of how a sequel can potentially be better than the original. But did you guys know that Terminator 2 takes place in the future?
1997, August 29th, 1997.
No.
Of Judgment Day, the day I got that tattoo.
Oh!
Yeah, tiny that.
So I always appreciate that, because in a lot of ways it makes it the most realistic film. This is the action film that takes place in the future, you know? But it's such a great movie. Scott, you mentioned earlier how it has this use of CGI, and it's like right at this nice moment where CGI is like, this is as good as we can get it without completely getting rid of practical effects, because the film is so practical effect heavy and it looks great. I especially love at the end all the giant holes they put into the T-1000. The T-1000 was a marvel to see on screen when this film first came out. And though the film does look dated with its CGI now, it still looks really good. Like, it was lovingly crafted.
Well, and with the CGI and the transition between sort of practical, and I know that there were some moments where the T-1000, there was a stunt double or something that was in long shots with like a Mylar suit just so they could get how light reflected and whatnot. But one of the things that I'm always marveled by is when the 18-wheeler, after they have the big truck motorbike chase, and so then they just and the T-1000 walks, and I think the thing that really sold it was that animated character had weight.
It looks so good. I mean, I just finished watching it the other day. It looks amazing. That's what you would expect to see if they shot that now. Although, to be honest, I stopped watching those movies after the third one, so I wouldn't really know. While films like The Raid and John Wick are really good, I don't feel the story is quite as important to those. Where there are really dynamic characters in the Terminator that you feel for, and they are flawed people, and they're just trying to make the best with the worst situation they possibly can. Sarah Connor did her best to prepare her son for the future and ended up ruining his life. And they got to like kind of just deal with it real quick and get past all that. You know what I mean? There's this great moment. I mentioned it earlier when you were talking about Terminator 2, where she goes to assassinate Miles Dyson. And it's just the most cold-blooded thing she's ever done. And she's been pumping herself up for this for like over a decade now. And she can't do it. John comes in with the Terminator, and there's this really short but touching moment between John and Sarah where it's like she was right at the edge of not being his mom anymore, not the person who like actually loves him. Like it's like that's what she's meant to do, is to love him. It's really great, and I always love this about Cameron, where Cameron can really make you feel for the characters and really make his characters dynamic, and you still get these huge action pieces. Something the first two films have in common is they lure the evil Terminators to industrial parks, essentially. And maybe that's where the franchise lost its path, when it gave up on building America.
Like, Ben, you brought up how great when he's freezing and he's trying to walk and he's falling apart, and how great that effect looks.
So fucking
and then
good.
Ben, number two, you mentioned, well, hey, if they did that today, it would look really great too. We have 4 Terminator sequels that came after this one. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know that any of them did that same exact thing, but all the effects they've employed across those 4 movies, none of them stand up to Terminator 2. So to say that they would make it look better today, I don't agree. I think the fact that you had Stan Winston, God rest his soul, and James Cameron working together, that's why that film and every shot in it, except for the guy rolling.
Innovation is everything. When you're creating something for the first time, you're gonna do the best job you possibly can with it. When you're working with something that's by this point a template, you know, by the time you get to Terminator Dark Fate, all you have to do is punch in some keywords and be like, hey, you know, can we put this character in this CGI scene and blah blah blah. It's a lazy way of doing it, where James Cameron was innovating the industry, so of course it was going to be perfect.
Moving on to my number 3. So next we have Die Hard 3 from 1991. Does that confuse you?
Yes.
Well, there is a Die Hard 3 in 1991, and none of you are even aware of that, are you? The movie's actually called Ricochet. It is a Die Hard sequel because of the character Gail Wallens, played by Mary Ellen Trainor.
Hey,
This is a shot from Die Hard.
that's the mom
She's also
from
in all of
Monster
the
Squad.
Lethal Weapon movies, and I think she was the wife of Richard Donner, correct?
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, sorry.
She's the wife of Zemeckis.
Oh, right.
She is the same news reporter in Ricochet that she is in Die Hard. Her name
love
is
you, John.
Gail Wallens.
I love you so much.
So there, I had no fucking clue.
So therefore, Ben, you were wrong. Your third favorite movie is Die Hard 4. My favorite is Die Hard 3, called Ricochet.
Anyway, why don't you
fucking
get
egg.
why don't you get to why you like Ricochet?
Because of Gail Wallens.
Because of Gail Wallen.
I mean, a big part of it is
John Lithgow, obviously.
John Lithgow. John Lithgow is fucking awesome as the villain in this movie.
He is.
Earl Talbot Blake.
Yeah.
He's a very memorable villain. He's very sadistic and ruthless in this thing. I just love him. You know, what other movie do you get the opportunity to see John Lithgow and Jesse the Body Ventura having a gladiator
book fight.
match covered in phone books as armor? That's just badass in itself. But I love the story in this movie. I think that's the strongest point, is its script. The cat and mouse game that's played between these two characters. And really, it's more of a cat batting around a mouse kind of thing. Like, the mouse is not getting any victories along the way until the end. But Denzel is an awesome hero in this movie and is able to turn the tables, by the end. But he has to persevere through a lot of shit in this movie. And I just love what they put him through. I really buy into how he's able to twist things around to make Denzel look guilty in so many different situations in this movie. Him with the hooker, like some of that stuff where he records his voice at a meeting and then plays that over the hooker. Yeah, I don't totally buy that. I think people would be able to go, that doesn't seem like she's saying that. You're not saying anything. I love Lithgow and how evil he is. He's got some great lines in the film. In the beginning, when he captures the girl they're at like a carnival or something. He's having a standoff with, I think it's in this image right here with Denzel. He's like, her boyfriend's gonna have to put a bag over her head when he what's left of her. That's a great line.
Yeah.
One of the he's in prison, and one of the guards asks him when he's getting ready for his parole hearing, did you remember to floss? And he's like, yes, I did, with your wife's pubic
hair. Yeah.
But I also just love it on a filmmaking level as well. I think it's done really well. It's Russell Mulcahy, who I can't think of all the other films that he's done that are any good. He did like Highlander, he did Razorback. My way of looking at things, thriller falls under action in the broad sense of
perfectly fine. I was fucking with you at the beginning. I saw this movie like maybe 2 or 3 times in the theater, like. And I agree with you. When you first see, this was the world's first introduction to John Lithgow, who would go on to be one of the most menacing people in the industry when he wanted to do bad guys. Admit it, John. You love this movie because of Odessa, because of Ice Cube. Or no, not Ice Cube, Ice-T.
Ice-T, yes. No, Ice-T's actually good in this one.
And watch for the Ricochet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It really works with the screenplay as well. The way we start off the opening scene is the two of them playing basketball, and he realizes, hey, you're boosting cars, I'm a cop, we really can't continue this relationship. But the way that he's able to bring that back, a couple times throughout the film that they have to interact, and then he's there to bring it all together at the end. And
it has like has a legal drama element to the story. Yeah. Because he's trying to be a district attorney.
Yeah. So who did the score for Predator? Is that Alan Silvestri?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the same, and it's very reminiscent, almost like just taking the Predator score and changing only a few minor things. James Horner did that a lot with his scores and stuff. But it really works in this movie. It almost works better than it does in Predator. I mean, there obviously aren't the exact same scores, but they're so similar that
all the action guys did that. Kamen did that.
Yeah.
Zimmer does that. They all do that. Yeah.
But Die Hard 3 with a Ricochet, my favorite.
I'm moving on to my sci-fi action movie, The Matrix. The Wachowski people, or whatever they're called now.
Siblings.
Whatever.
Wachowski siblings.
This was the last film I saw before I left for boot camp. And like most people, I had little to no idea exactly what it was about the first time I saw it in theater. And it made that first viewing of it so much fucking better for not knowing what the hell it was about. And John, we did a whole thing of the trilogy of this, so I'm just already kind of saying the same thing. But sometimes like action is something that, to me, it's like, if it's something you've never seen before and it just catches you off guard, and a minute later you're like, God, I literally couldn't take my eyes off that. Like, I was hypnotized by that action. This was that movie. It really did that for me, where I was like, I think I know the story. It's a little heady. I'm liking these people I'm seeing, and then they keep jumping back into this other world, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But the action is so good. And I love that they just keep the action scenes going and going and going. And they build and they build and they get more intense, and they bring in more characters for each action scene. The Matrix is so influential. Once people got it and it started making money, there was a billion Matrix ripoffs too. And I'm not saying Equilibrium was. It wasn't. Equilibrium was actually filming at the same time the Matrix was. But there was a lot of movies that tried to not just capture the martial arts style and the camera work and stuff like that. And the camera work wasn't the only thing that blew me away about The Matrix. It was just the way the story was told. And I think Lawrence Fishburne has a lot to do with that. Like if you cast somebody differently, which I guess they originally had Sean Connery.
Oh my god.
Sean Connery was supposed to be
We're
Sean
trying,
Connery and
Andrew.
Will Smith, and I can't even fucking imagine Sean Connery and Will Smith in this movie.
Oh my
You're
god.
the one now, dog.
Yeah. Every big idea in this movie is expressed through Morpheus and expressed through Lawrence Fishburne, who's just, I'm sorry. Am I stupid to say, like, why not get an Oscar nomination? I thought he was so fucking good in this movie. Like, everything about his performance. I don't think it was one note. It was very mysterious and maybe a little understated at times, but I don't know. To me, when an actor captures you for the entire movie and like you're just waiting for him to speak, that says something. But I don't give a fuck about Oscars anyway, so who cares? Moving on. Digress. The Matrix just captured me, and it just like it took me to a place, and it made my jaw drop on the floor when I watched, especially the last like 45 minutes. It's just nothing's really ever done what that did. The way, like, just the way the action's so fluid, and like it was still a lot of practicality with so much of the stunts. I mean, they had CGI stuff, but it's just such an impressive movie. The sequels are dog shit. I hate them. If you want to know more, me, John, and the Helmets did an entire breakdown of the original trilogy. I'm just talking about this one as a self-contained film. It's a masterpiece. I love it. Love it. So Matrix is what I'm picking today is my sci-fi action movie. It's fucking great. Sorry.